Good afternoon. Thank you for the introduction. I'm the president of goldandsilverseek.com. We've been around since 1995. We're one of the largest precious metals networks on the internet. We tracked around 300,000 to 500,000 unique visitors per month, and I've been a precious metals investor since an early teenager, and investor in junior mining stocks. So I don't have a lot of time, and I just wanted to kind of hit on some key points. So I can't get too in depth into some of these very interesting topics like Bitcoin, but I do want to kind of talk a few key things because it's such a hot topic right now. So I entitled this workshop or talk about gold or Bitcoin, and as Alice said, is it and or, and I think it's both. I don't think you have to hate gold and love Bitcoin, or you love gold or hate Bitcoin. In fact, I believe they're more complementary than they are adversaries. And I know there's a big divide in the precious metals industry, about Bitcoin being money or what it is. And I think there's a big misunderstanding and this need to know what Bitcoin is. And I can't say that I have an exact answer for you. And if you actually were to look at, say, Google search results, one of the most important question, or the top number one search right now is what is Bitcoin? It's almost like asking who or what God is. What does Bitcoin mean? What is it going to do, and all this stuff? And people are very confused about what it is. To me, Bitcoin is not money. I think Bitcoin is a form of money, it's a currency, but it's also something else. It's a network. Bitcoin is a payment service. It's technology meet currency. It's something so new and revolutionary. I think you would be very wrong to discount what Bitcoin is. There's a lot of people saying Bitcoin is a tulip bubble, Bitcoin isn't real, it's used by drug dealers, and they use the same arguments on gold and silver. Don't get taken by those arguments. I think those individuals who make those blanket statements are missing the bigger picture. In my view, Bitcoin is really an innovation of using modern technology, and we're still trying to understand what this will do. The underlying technology of Bitcoin is blockchain, and so you hear a lot about blockchain technology. There's a lot of different applications coming and revolutionizing a lot of different industries, and I think there's a lot of opportunities there. But just on the Bitcoin side, Bitcoin is, and I said this in the last conferences last year, is Bitcoin is like the ultimate mining stock with only 21 million shares outstanding, and everyone in the world can buy Bitcoin. And it is getting a bit speculative as more people are coming into it and the price is rising, and it's becoming a parabolic kind of move and so on. But we're getting a global adaptation of this and use of it. And as more and more individuals join into this network and using Bitcoin, the more viable and more likely it is to succeed. I got involved with Bitcoin back in 2013, 2014. I got more involved with it when we moved to the Czech Republic, to Prague a couple years ago, 2 to 3 years ago, and I worked out of a crypto anarchist institute, which focused on cryptocurrencies and developing new innovative applications in the crypto space. And I really understood more how people who have belief in the free market, who want to innovate and be free, see Bitcoin as an opportunity to get outside of the banking system, to interact on a one-to-one basis. And it has a lot of, to me, Bitcoin allows people to be free and not have to use money. And if you look at what we use, $1 or the euro or whatever, this is nationalized currency. Our money was nationalized over 100 years ago. And it's, people are looking for alternatives, and gold and silver is one of those, and Bitcoin is also an alternative. When you look at Bitcoin, I think there's a couple key things where Bitcoin is going to do very well. You look at places that are instituting capital controls. Are you going to leave your country with a backpack full of 100-ounce silver bars and try to move your wealth outside the country? It's going to be very difficult. With Bitcoin, you can send it or whatever cryptocurrency, you can move your wealth around very easily. And maybe you sell your gold, buy Bitcoin, move it around, and then buy gold back. But there's some huge potential for Bitcoin to disrupt the controls of government, and I think there's going to be a lot more of a debate about whether governments are going to allow this and how this comes about, and it's a big threat. the Bitcoin price, everyone's talking about, it's 8,100 today, 8,200. It's in a parabolic move. Yes, this looks scary, and it looks like everyone's talking that it's a tulip bubble. I would say don't follow that line of thinking. Bitcoin can crash 50% tomorrow, but it's not going to zero. There's too many people involved. There's too many people actually using it and who want to use it. It's going to be very volatile. It's a really high risking, but I don't think you should discount it. I look at Bitcoin also from a logarithmic scale, and that has a totally different perspective. I don't think you see a bubble yet in the price when you look at this perspective. Bitcoin has over $100 billion market cap, or the value of the network, or the value of Bitcoin is 100 plus billion. You look at the amount of money floating around the world, the tens and tens of trillions of dollar units, pesos, yen, and so Bitcoin can have a massive value. It can go to trillion plus. It can go much higher. And now with CME offering Bitcoin futures, okay, now you're gonna get more. You're seeing more of the next wave of money, the billionaires, the Wall Street coming into it. So yeah, Bitcoin can go to 30, 50, 100,000 very quickly. It could also. We don't even actually know if Bitcoin is going to be the most valuable cryptocurrency in a year or two. There could be a whole new one coming around. So it's something that I wouldn't advise anyone to put all their money into. But I think if you diversify, like I had said over the last years, put 5-10% into it. Today in the last few years. From that workshop, today the majority of your portfolio would be in crypto, but I think the upside and the potential for reward is a lot higher in crypto than precious metals. But if you want to preserve your wealth, in the end, gold is the king money and the money that preserves wealth. It's not. I don't think Bitcoin has proven that itself yet. It's too volatile. It is a means of exchange, but as far as money goes, gold and silver have proven itself to be money and stable money. Real quick, so a lot of people say Bitcoin's in the tulip bubble. Well, I think if it's in the tulip bubble, we're probably around 1635, 1636. It's got if you're going to relate it to that, and I think it's a ridiculous argument because Bitcoin is not a tulip. It has a utility, has a function, and people are using it. And as currencies have more monetary crises are come around, well, Bitcoin is going to offer an alternative for people to use. But we also have to understand that the underlying technology, the blockchain technology that runs Bitcoin, has other opportunities and applications in other industries. But the Federal Reserve, the European Central Bank, these central banks are looking at blockchain as a way to use or create a new currency or move the dollar, Fed coin or the dollar coin. And to me, that's actually the opposite of what Bitcoin is, because Bitcoin is decentralized. There's not a central bank. There's not one individual controlling it. And that's a big threat to the power institutions. There's a lot of people from central banks talking it down because it's a threat to the banking system. Jamie Dimon doesn't like it because he can't take a cut off every transaction. Well, that's too bad, but they're going to try to push their own version of it, and that's going to be actually I would say the scary part of this, because they're trying to push us toward a cashless society. They want to know who we're interacting with. They want to know all our transactions. They want to take the underground economy and make sure we're all having to pay our fair share of taxes. They want to take more and more of our wealth, and this is an excellent opportunity for them to track us more and to steal more of our wealth. So there's going to be there's a lot of focus on Bitcoin, but don't take your eye off of what the central bankers and the powerful institutions are going to try to do to push you into their version. So I kind of talked about that. Bitcoin, I'm in various cryptocurrencies investments. Some of these things have different functions. Some of them are utility. They call them utility tokens, things that actually produce, have a use. They're not a currency. You have cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, but you also have crypto assets. You have utility tokens. So this whole crypto universe has a lot of different things going on with it. But it has revolutionary impact, even say on our industry, raising money. I can see how the venture capitalists are having a real competition with these ICOs and a new way of accessing capital, raising capital, connecting with investors, not having to go through a broker and pay, say, a high fee. And so there's some very interesting projects out there. Some of the valuations are a bit high, but this is a new technology. People are rushing into this space, and you're going to see valuations probably overshoot themselves before we have a serious correction. Just a couple of the ones that I like is Neo, decentralized exchange. OMG is a payment system. I think McDonald's, some of the big corporations are looking at that as a payment system. it's competing with Visa networks or Western Union. These new crypto networks are big challenges to the existing credit card and monetary systems. Dash is another exciting one. I think Palm Beach Confidential put out a report on them, and they're flying through the roof today. Salt Lending, they're based out of Colorado. They're going to be using cryptocurrencies as a way to borrow money against that. They've got some big support. And then there's Hedge Token, which is a utility token. They're going to be doing crypto ETFs and indices in the next year. And I'm very excited about that one because you have opportunities that you can literally make 50, 100 times your money and you can lose it all, but the risk reward for a speculative investor is extremely interesting in the crypto space, especially with all the money flooding in. So Bitcoin, yeah, have some exposure to it, but when you want to preserve your wealth, you look at gold and silver. And there's a lot of opportunities outside of preserving your wealth, and that's in the mining companies, and I'll talk about that in a moment. But just to talk about the general economic monetary situation, we've been in a period since 2010, 11, since the peak of the precious metal markets, where the stock market has been going constantly up. I mean, we haven't had more than a 3% pullback from our record highs in the stock market for the last year. We have these buybacks, we have this money feeding into the system. There's such an unnatural market going on, and that's another reason why precious metals will do very well, but that's why we're already seeing Bitcoin doing well, because people are looking for alternatives, and there's so much money in the system. People have become very complacent, so don't think that this stock market is going to keep going up constantly. There's going to be a massive correction, but it could go to 30,000. We don't know what the trigger will be to finally unravel these unnatural markets, because we do not have free markets. We do not have real markets anymore. We don't even know what the true price of anything is. Everything has been so manipulated that everything is skewed. And I won't go. I don't have that much time, so I'll kind of skip this. But I think we're not going to see that many rate increases. Inflation potentially starts moving higher as all this money that's sitting on the balance sheets of banks and just floating out there comes into the economy. But my main key point to individuals is using this period to protect yourself and reposition yourself for the coming crisis. Because when it does come, you're either in the precious metal markets or you're going to watch it take off. You're either going to see the government come in and take your money, or you're going to have your money protected outside of the system. Capital controls is a very serious problem. We already have forms of capital controls. I can say, as an American investing into, say, even IPOs, I get rejected by so many different IPOs because I'm an American and a Canadian bank doesn't want to work with me. I try to open up a bank account in the Czech Republic. Maybe there's 2 of the 20 banks that will accept Americans. Being an American is almost a curse today. I'd rather be from Mexico. I'd rather be from almost any country than from the U.S. because the government has extended its reach to such a degree that you are no longer viewed. You're viewed as a risk to these companies, to these banks, and so on. And they're doing that to force you to keep your money within the country. The reason is, at some point, all this debt that we have accumulated is going to have to be paid. So, as I have said for the longest time, for the last couple decades, monitoring the greatest debt credit bubble, we are in a period that exceeds any sort of historical precedence. We have nothing to compare this to, and for some reason, even though we went through the 2008, 9, 10 crisis, nothing was resolved. Everything just got worse. So when things have to get resolved, they're going to be a lot more difficult to resolve. And when that bust happens, it's not going to be pretty. The global monetary debt situation, the debt globally is estimated around $70 trillion. Now, when you add in unfunded liabilities and all sorts of other debt, it's a lot higher. It's interesting, actually, being in Central or Eastern Europe or looking at Russia, these countries have a lot lower debt than the civilized Western countries do. Their debt loads, I mean, look at the U.S., we're over 100% GDP to debt. These are historically unsustainable levels of debt to maintain, and at some point, this will have to be paid. So, the national debt continues to go higher. The gold, when you look at the monetary base and the gold holdings, you see that everything is out of whack. If you were to try to attach gold to the monetary system today, the price of gold have to be, it'd be a lot higher, multiples and multiples. Things are so in such a difficult position, but things continue to move along. The U.S. dollar continues to be the gold reserve of the world. Central banks still trust the dollar. The euro tries to challenge that, and that hasn't had much success. There's a lot of political problems with the euro. There's a lot of financial and other things underlying it, so the dollar remains the king. and a lot of people continue to trust the dollar. But once that trust and the problem with the U.S. dollar starts to appear, then where do you go? You're going to trust your money with the Chinese yuan? You're gonna trust with the Japanese yen, or what? And so that's the big question: is where do you put your money? And I think part of that also is Bitcoin and all that is getting attention. There's bubbles everywhere. Money's flooding to the stock market. There's money everywhere. It's going to real estate. It just hasn't flooded into this sector, but when it does, the silver market's barely $20 billion a year market. It takes nothing of that capital out there to push this market through the roof. In fact, if I were to say gold or Bitcoin, my answer would be silver probably right now. I think silver's got a huge opportunity. Gold's safer, but the risk-reward appeal of silver is a lot better at these prices. I would be accumulating silver while you can at these lower prices. But it could last years still. It could be 1, 2, 3 more years before this thing takes off. But there are signs that we are now lifting off the bottom. Things are getting more tight. The supply of physical metals, especially in the silver side, is constraining itself. And it will take higher prices as an incentive for others to sell it. The Russians, the Indians, the Chinese, most of the world is outside the Western world is accumulating gold very, very aggressively. The Chinese actually, I think they might be the biggest threat to the U.S. dollar near term as they try to float the Chinese yuan and make in the BRICS try to compete with the U.S. Dominance. And that's a big challenge and a threat to the dollar and to the current power structure. And you see that between Russia and China and this. And I don't have enough time to get into the geopolitics of stuff, but real quickly, the velocity of money shows us how there's so much money in the system, but it's not moving around. So once we see the money start to increase the velocity, the money's coming into the system, that's going to tell us that inflation's going to start taking off. So I think gold and silver are slowly making a south move in a new bull market. We'll probably see $1250 as a low in the gold price this year, and we could push up to $1,400 to $1,500. $1,375, $1,400 technically is a resistance. Silver, I think we see a pop over $20. I don't think we see it go below $15 anymore. The price of gold has been an uptrend, doing very well. The price of silver kind of broke a downtrend here recently, but pull it back, it's steadily moving higher highs and higher lows. Very good sign of the precious bull market. Now, gold versus Dow, these other intermarket relationships show gold really at an attractive level. It's not a screaming buy like it was in 2000, 2001, but relatively to other measurements, gold is looking pretty attractive here. So to really leverage or to make money in this sector outside of, I look at gold and silver as something you preserve your money and your wealth in. And silver, okay, you can make some more money on the investment side, but if you really want to leverage that, you look at the mining companies. And we've seen incredible gains in the right mining companies, but you've also seen some big losses, and it's very difficult to find the good companies. And over the last couple decades of being a gold and silver investor, I find that the most important part is looking at the management, looking at the people who are behind the companies, the ones who have had success, the ones who have built a quality team, and they're the ones most likely to succeed. Then looking at the project place and the other requirements. Gold stocks have been in a downtrend. It looks like we hit a base. They have not risen as much as, here's the ratio of gold stocks versus the gold price. They have been underperforming. They were doing quite well about a year ago, and now they've been kind of dead. They haven't really indicated that the bull market, or they don't believe that the gold bull market has started. I believe we'll see this start to change in the next year or two in a very big way, and that'll be the indicator that the gold price is starting to make its next big move, which will take it way beyond its prior highs. So here's some of my top picks. I've put booth numbers on the companies that are at this conference. Again, management is key. The best part about this stage of the bull market is that you can meet with the management. When the gold price is 2,000, good luck. You don't have that opportunity. Now is a great time to find the value, to meet with the management, and to find the companies that meet your risk profile and the ones with the right opportunities. I believe one of them is Northern Vertex. I met them at this conference last year. They're going to be the next producing U.S. gold mine in Arizona. Their first gold pour is weeks away, and this company just recently had a price drop back below 50 cents Canadian. I've been an investor for the last year accumulating, and I believe this one is going to have a good year ahead of itself. They'll be producing the first gold, low production cost, very high internal rate of return, excellent company. Gold Resource Corp is a company I've been following since its IPO 10 plus years ago. They have dividend paying. They have a low production also down in Mexico, but they're also now looking to expand production into Nevada. They pay dividends. That company has an excellent share structure. They've barely diluted over the last 10 years, under 60 million shares. Fantastic. Golden Arrow. Now, Golden Arrow, booth 206, talked to them about the recent deal with Silver Standard. They changed their name to SSR Mining. They just formed a joint venture down in Argentina. It's a 25% interest for Golden Arrow, and now they're going to be producing cash flow. Plus, they have a host of other excellent projects. Look at the share price come down. This is an excellent buy right now. Gold Source Mines, this company's had a difficult year, but now we're looking at the next big growth period for them, which is going to be building the larger mine. The company is at an excellent, less than $10 million US market cap. Huge value, excellent team, similar team as Silvercrest, which is the next slide. Silvercrest Mines was an excellent investment for us at Gold and Silver Seek back in the early 2000s. Now they've started Silvercrest Metals. They had a huge success. They're trying to replicate their success at Santa Elena, which is a mine that First Majestic has purchased, and I believe it's their most profitable asset in their portfolio. The Las Chipas project is looking very exciting. They're looking to bring this into production in the next couple of years. Now having back $1 a share, here's an opportunity to get in. Zinc One, the zinc prices are taking off. Zinc One, excellent opportunity. Aber Plata, take a look at that one. SSR Mining also have a deal in Argentina. That one is cheap. And the last thing I'll say here, I wanted to do something to help investors follow our picks more easily. So in the next month or two, we'll be launching the 24K Gold Fund and the Ultimate Silver Fund. So you can go to those websites, they're not launched yet, but in the coming month, you'll be able to monitor our picks. And we're gonna put $100,000 into each of these funds. They'll be transparent. You can see all our trades, you can see our investments, and you can track our returns. And if you follow us over the last 10, 20 years, you have known that we've outperformed the GDX, GDXJ, and we hope to continue to outperform the sector with our picks. That's the end of the time. I'm way over, so I'll stop there. If you have any other questions, I'd be happy to talk to you after this, and thank you for attending.